Good afternoon and welcome along to my Tuesday live sessions. The time is, well, it's actually 12:02 today. I'm very apologetic, but we're 2 minutes late. But it is midday, it is Tuesday, and that means that I come here and I go live and I'll talk you through everything magical and wonderful about the world of HubSpot. For the last 2 weeks, we've been diving in and looking at workflow automation and how it's a powerful, powerful piece of software add to your marketing strategy, something that we highly recommend here at Finally to all of our clients. And we've been going through how to use HubSpot, which is a pro tool, a pro feature is marketing automation. And it's really probably one of the main reasons that somebody would choose to make the first jump from free to paid from the marketing tools perspective. We've been looking at how to start your first automation. We've been looking about how to edit that in the builder. And now what we're going to be looking at today is around how to enroll people into that and how to understand where people have gone through automation and reporting, and therefore, how to optimize your workflows to ensure that they're more than successful and are delivering the needs of the business goals. So without further ado, let's jump straight in. So as ever, I start life on the dashboard, and this would be the first thing that you see typically when you sign into HubSpot. If you want to know how to customize this and how to customize your first view, there is another video, so dive on over to our YouTube channel, subscribe. We'd really appreciate that. I certainly would, as I sit here producing these for you each week. So please go back, look through the archive, and there's certainly a video on how to customize this initial view. But we're talking workflows and we're talking automation. So we're going to hit automation in the top menu and we're going to click workflows. Once that loads, you're going to see all of the different workflows that you've got going on. And within this, you can create different views. You can filter by, active workflows, pause workflows. You can filter by who created that workflow. There's lots of different views. We are going to be using, hopefully, the workflow that we have called demo workflow that I've been building. And for those that haven't seen the first couple of episodes, this is a really simple workflow that we've built out, which basically just says if we know somebody's first name and they filled out a contact form on any page on our website, then we're going to wait till the next day at 10:32 in their time zone, and we're then going to send the first email. We wait 3 days to see what actions are taken. We send that email again, and then we kind of decide whether they clicked a link. And this was literally just a very basic example of saying, okay, if they've clicked any link in that email, then please send a text message to the sales rep. In that case, it was myself. If not, send the email again. Let's give them a third attempt. And then once we've done that, we're going to rotate those contacts between the different sales reps in the business. There is only one in this demonstration, so that's me. So the first thing that we want to do when we're talking about how to analyze performance and how to look and report on this is to ensure that there's been a goal set for the workflow. So in the top left-hand corner, you can click view or edit your goal. And what we've decided to do as the goal for this workflow is to check that that email has been opened. Now you could do different things. So you could say that it's been opened and a link has been clicked. Might be a slightly more smarter goal, to be honest, a bit more of a defined measurement, because just opening the email can be triggered by preview panes, and some clients, automatically open an email even if the physical person or human hasn't read that email. So perhaps a better defined goal may be to add an action, clicked a link, visited a website, whatever that may be. Why do you want a goal? Well, ultimately, anything that we do in marketing should be for the benefits and purpose of measurement and improvement. We need to have a goal to understand what that we've achieved. We need to be able to refine that and measure it against a test criteria. If we were to change X, does it have a positive or negative gain on that goal? So the goal is the key. Here at Finally, everything that we do with clients and internally is goal driven, and we need to start with the goal in order to work towards an achievement. So we have one. I'm going to leave that there for now because that's fine for this purpose. We've looked at the actions, we've looked at the settings. As I said, it's now about performance. So This view here is going to really kind of talk to you about how many people have been enrolled, how many of those are actively still within the workflow itself. So, people that are currently at different steps, and ultimately what is that goal conversion rate. Again, that can only be defined by having a set goal. And then it will show us all different sort of trends. So, depending on the actions that are within your workflow, in this case, we've just got the single email. So we're going to understand how many people have opened it, how many people have clicked a link, how many bounced, how many didn't bounce, all at a touch of touch of this screen, which is great. Once we understand the email's been delivered, the email's open, we're going to start to get contact information here. We can understand about any failures and deal with that. And whether we're starting to lose contacts from this workflow, ultimately that would not be a good result. So we'd want to monitor the churn rate of any workflow that we're currently working, and ensure that we modify it. Maybe we're sending too many emails, maybe we're not delaying enough, maybe we've not got a good enough criteria on follow-up and we're sending irrelevant content to people, which is typically one of the main drivers for people to unsubscribe is irrelevancy and frequency. So to check upon those two key factors is the kind of starting point, really. And then we have the history tab. Now the history tab here gives you a really kind of audited log of exactly what's happened. So when someone's been enrolled, when somebody's exited, when somebody's completed their goal, when an email was sent, was that sent delivered? You can then analyze in great detail. So from a view like this, obviously there's no one here, so it's not particularly useful. But if there was lots of people within this enrollment, you could see it. You could also use this menu over on the right hand side to search for a particular contact. So if you're looking or you're going to make contact maybe of a customer, you might want to check that what did they do in that particular workflow. You can come in, select them, narrow down all of these actions. It will just be that contact's actions. So quite a useful feature. Again, this can be filtered by action. It can be filtered by event. You can kind of really get great analytical data. Now you can use HubSpot's reporting tools to do certain things as well. The reason that I like this view within a workflow is it's very specific, and ultimately when modifying or trying to optimize a workflow, this is my first port of call, is to kind of understand the exact performance of this exact workflow. Because when you pull other reports or you're looking at, say, contacts at a wider top level, then they might have been through multiple workflows. They might have had emails been sent from different subscriptions or from different marketing departments or sales departments, and that can skew the data. So kind of analyzing a single workflow in isolation, you really do get to see what is actually going on here and now on this particular workflow. So I am going to, obviously love doing all this live, I'm going to try and find a workflow in this demonstration that's had something happen. So it looks like this one has. So obviously this is around about updating categories. So let's have a look at the history here. And here is the data I'm talking about. So you can see that this is actually a deal workflow. So this is dealing with deals, not contacts. Same concept. It's telling us that this is the particular deal. So example 100. What actions have they done? So it will say that they enrolled for a re-enrollment trigger, and this was the date and time that happened. They then reached the if then branch. It tells me that they're successfully continuing on branch 1, so we know where they've gone. Then it reaches the next point, which is to set the property value within a deal. So it's setting the deal property forecast to pipeline. That was completed successfully. And then that was the end of that workflow. So as you saw in the actions, this is simply to check that a deal is in the pipeline, find out what stage it's in, and then update the kind of relevant deal property depending on the branch. So really simple workflow, and that is the history tab. So as I said, you can use this filter here. We could like break down just to that example 100, and as you see, immediately it filters down and we can just see those sort of 4 steps that this particular workflow took, or we can look at all of them as a whole. If there were to be any errors here, you would see that failure. Particularly good things to look out for here are bounced emails or undeliverable emails, It might be that you start to notice that maybe one of the branches that you've got, there is nobody ever continuing on to, a different option, so that everybody's funneling through a single option on your workflow. Obviously, that probably tells you something's not quite right. And again, you'd be able to filter that by looking at the actions and just narrowing that down. So it's a really kind of easy place to come in and identify what's going on. The other tabs that we just have a little look along the top. So we've got the enrollment history, and that is literally just telling you when somebody's successfully enrolled and when somebody's successfully completed or hit your goal, they're then either exited from that workflow. And then finally, the last tab is the workflow changes. So this is just an audit log really of users. If people have made changes to that workflow, you can see when that was, what was changed, in case if there's any error or you wish to go back to something previously that worked well, you can do that. Depending on the amount of changes, good practice in my mind would be to actually clone the workflow and make your changes and keep the old workflow there for historic reasons. People that have already been through that workflow, you don't want them re-enrolling, so you can keep that there and they won't be re-enrolled. Actually, what do I mean by re-enrolling? Let me talk to you about re-enrolling. So obviously, when you set the enrollment trigger at the top, it's the first thing you have to do in any workflow. You're saying, what is the criteria for somebody being entered into this workflow? Like, why are they going to start enrolling? And that is triggers that you set up. Go back and watch part 1 of workflow automation if you want to kind of find out a little bit more about that. But we didn't really touch on re-enrollment. So if I click onto re-enrollment, what that means is by default, or typically most workflows that you build, you're not going to have somebody be allowed to re-enroll into the same workflow. Now, I've built lots of workflows, and that is probably good and true for 95% of workflows. There is that odd occasion where actually it might be a workflow that happens on, I don't know, a purchase of a product, or if a new deal is closed, now somebody might win another deal in a period of time, and you might say, actually, you're going to override that setting and say that they can manually be re-enrolled if they meet certain other criteria. So that would be where you could specify that the close one date is maybe newer than the previous close one date, so that they're definitely going to only be once in that, and that it's going to be happening for another reason, and that reason is that they've won another deal. So you want to kind of allow that. It could be other re-enrollment reasons that you choose, but basically they are very specific, and you have to kind of effectively override the default, which is not to let somebody re-enroll. So it's just something to think about when you're building them. Now, as I said in that first video, the key to workflows is the planning. If you plan right and you understand what you're attempting to do, this will all be simple. But fundamentally, the computer and the systems and software is only ever as good as the data it's provided. That's the case for any system. I have built many a system from the ground up, and there's a saying which probably isn't publishable for me here, but you can guess. It begins with S and it ends in T. And you put stuff in and you get stuff out. Ultimately, that is what a piece of software does. You need to kind of give it the best chance of success by providing it with really good things at the top. So plan. This is effectively an old school work chart. It's just bringing in all the intelligence of a piece of software to do the legwork, really. But ultimately, it's not kind of able to understand what you're trying to achieve. It doesn't have a marketing brain. It just has a kind of yes, no, do this function. So plan. And ultimately, think about the goal. Why are you trying to do what you're trying to do? Are you trying to get people to subscribe to a form? Are you trying to get people to receive emails? Are you trying to get people to, participate in an event, update their status when something happens so that they get better, more informed work and news through other systems that you create within your CRM and marketing function? There's numerous reasons. I mean, there could be hundreds, if not thousands of workflows in a well-programmed marketing machine. But certainly, as I said last time, for me, this is one of the best parts of HubSpot. I think they kind of typically were really well known for this element. The workflows and the marketing hub was the kind of the ground basis for their great success that they're having now. Yes, all the other elements and bolt-ons and portals are unbelievable. We highly recommend them all, but marketing was where it began. Workflows is a key part of that. I'm really quite passionate about it. I know that Matt internally here is, and we do great work with clients. If you have any questions at all that we haven't answered in the free videos, please, connect with me, subscribe on our channel, send us a message, drop us a message on the website. We're freely available. We can be found. I'd love to hear from you. So, please do that. And if it means that we can jump on a call and help you, then that would be perfect. We would like to do that. So I think for now, and that is the end of workflows. You should now have all the tools that you need to kind of create that first workflow, map out the actions, understand how to report on it, and get people enrolled and using the tool to its best ability. I wish you all the very best of luck in your workflow designing, and I will look forward to speaking to you next week, and we will have a brand new topic which will all be revealed next Tuesday. So please join me then, Tuesday at midday, and I hope that you will be there. Take care.